The most important part of compositing is matching perspective between your plate image and your subject image. Basically, this means finding the horizon in the images that you're going to use and matching them. So, how to find this imaginary line in a photograph is by identifying what would be parallel lines running off into the distance, such as a tabletop or lines on the floor. Let's get over into Photoshop, and extending these lines out until they intersect will give you the vanishing point of those parallel lines, like where train tracks appear to merge. That's a vanishing point. Simply stated, the horizon is level with the frame at the vanishing point of two parallel lines. Let's look at this image of a bedroom. The parallel lines would be this side of the bed and this baseboard, any of these lines in the rug. So let's take our line tool and let's get set up here. And let's draw a line. Extends out, but it's even with the bottom of that bed. And then we'll do the same thing over here on this baseboard. Draw it out, extend it out. It's parallel. Now where those two cross, it's going to be your horizon. So let's drag a guide down to the point where they intersect, and that's going to be your horizon. All right, let's close these two. So the next thing that you need to do after you figure out where the horizon is figure out what plane that you want your subject to occupy in relation to the horizon. So if you want them to be standing on the floor, then obviously it's further from the floor to the horizon than it is from the bed to the horizon. Technically speaking, the camera would have to be higher to photograph someone standing on the floor and lower if they're standing on the bed. One very important note is to establish whether vertical lines in the plate image are perpendicular to the frame. Otherwise, the viewing angle is not level with the horizon. Okay, so if the vertical lines like here on the window and maybe here on this bed and this seam in the headboard wall and maybe these picture frame lines, if they're not vertical or perpendicular with the frame, then your camera is not pointing level at the horizon. It's looking down or it's looking up. And if any of these vertical lines are curved, they've used a wider focal length, and the more curved, the wider the focal length. Now, these things complicate matching focal lengths between your plate and your subject, but that's for a whole nother discussion. So to recap, you need to establish two parallel lines in your plate image, and where you use the line tool to extend them out, and the point where they cross is the horizon. Drag a guide to that intersection as a horizon marker. Decide the plane the subject will rest on and its relation to the horizon. The closer the plane to the horizon, the lower the camera. So to show like a practical example, we'll bring in this basketball court. Okay, so I've already drew lines on the floor to establish my horizon. We'll turn on my horizon, and I've got my athlete here we're going to, you can move him around. As you can see, he's just kind of sitting there. Let's turn these two lines off. All right, so he is in here as a smart object, so I need to figure out where his horizon is. So I'm going to go into the smart object, and I've already got lines drawn in here that I used. I drew lines on the floor that go with the floorboards. All right, so now I can save this file, and we can come back in here, and as you can see, he's got his lines. Now, if you take the horizon that you've already established, and you can put where they cross on that horizon. All right, now obviously he's way too big, so we need to scale him down. We'll put that X back on the line there. All right, now I've already got a simple mask applied to him, so let's turn it on, and voila. We can go back in here and get rid of those lines now, and get rid of this horizon. And we can kind of zoom in here on his feet and see, even though the mask is kind of, the mask is crappy because it's just one click, but you can see it looks pretty good. That's kind of how that's done. Now, if you're going to move him around, you definitely want to make sure that he stays on that horizon. And if you're going to scale him up and down, you want to move this center, the scale point, down to the horizon, and then you can alt scale, and he'll stay where he's supposed to stay with the horizon. So now you can position him anywhere on this floor simply by scaling, moving your scale point to the horizon. You can scale him up and down, or you can move him side to side, but he needs to stay on that horizon line. If you move him off the horizon line, he don't look quite, he's too small, right? And he's not really it don't feel just exactly right. So those are just the things that I really pay attention to, and for me, it's what really sells an image. So the finished product of that, as you can see, once shadows, masking is fine-tuned, but masking and adding shadows and matching light, that's a whole nother discussion. I hope this helped, brother. If you got any more questions, just let me know. If you want more in-depth on how to do this kind of thing, just let me know, man, and we'll talk about whatever you want to talk about, brother. All right, have a good one.